So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Diverse Creative Podcast. And I'm chatting today with the Barcode Bandits. And you guys are a bit of an underground South African punk hard rock band. At least that's sort of how your EPK describes you. How would you guys describe you?
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, it's been a process. I mean, our sound evolved over the years from like an acoustic rock act, and then we sort of jumped into the electric sort of scene, and electric guitars, and we just sort of went hard and faster. And I think that sort of evolved the sound into almost this punk rock sort of vibe, and it's very much influenced by everybody's music tastes. Well, more Ryan's music taste. He writes the music, so he can maybe tell you a bit more about the influence for the sound.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah,
Ryan,
so
how would you describe it?
so I think the biggest thing about us is that we're just a bunch of guys that really love making music, and we probably like hanging out with each other more than that. So I think whenever we find opportunity to hang out with each other, that's really the biggest key point. But it's been a journey of evolvement in music. So our sound has evolved from acoustic to electric to we currently releasing stuff or working on stuff that's even getting to a bit more of a metal side. So we're not fixed on anything. We just want to speak truth and write about our day-to-day thing, struggles and things, the good and the bad.
I really like that. For me, I'm a lyricist, I'm a songwriter, a multi-instrumentalist, but I definitely feel like I'm really passionate about lyrics. And obviously, I've listened to some of your stuff, and I know there's a couple of tracks that I felt was like you were definitely hitting home with some like hard truths, which I really appreciated. I was like, there's some sharp lyrics hidden in there. That's fantastic stuff. So, are you the dominant songwriter in the group, right?
Yeah, I think I normally present a couple of demos, but I don't present anything that's finished. It'll be like a verse, or we've written an intro or a chorus, and then an idea or a concept will be made, and it would just depend on where the band takes it further. So it's still co-written. It's just a matter of the ideas for, and that's where it comes from.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to give a little bit of background here. You are the lead vocalist and the lead guitarist in the group, right?
Correct.
And then Mark, you're the drummer.
Yes, I'm drums and back end screamer.
Nice description. I like it. And then Neil, you've recently, well, I say recently, in the last how many years you came in on the bass and again backing vocals as well?
Probably about, gosh, probably about 6 years now, hey guys, since it's
Yeah,
been
Yeah,
permanent.
that's probably around that day.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
We think it's a lot more recent than what it is.
About halfway through your band's journey, really, you joined in.
Pretty much.
You know,
absolutely.
And I like what you said, Ryan, about like you guys just really love hanging out together. And then obviously making music is something that it's a shared passion, but you obviously really care about each other as individuals too. And you've obviously got a really tight friendship, almost like brotherhood, I suppose, between the three of you guys, because it's hard work keeping bands together. And it's like a notorious thing that bands are challenging to hold. And yet you guys have been going for 13 years as a band and 6 years with Neil as part of your band. And do you feel that there's any secret you guys have to keeping it together?
From my side, I think Ryan and I met from the beginning, and then obviously we had our previous two bassists, Barry and Jerry, and we all had a great friendship from the start. But obviously, we had a bit of clashing issues or whatever the case might have been. But a friendship over and above. I mean, we go on fishing trips together with Neil's other band, No Regret. We're a bunch of brothers there as well, and we all met through this journey of music, and it's been really a sort of a fun journey. I mean, like I say, one night we were drinking whiskey, and I burst out into tears. I'm like, I think you're my best friend, man. And I'm drunk. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. And we just had this bonding moment, and so I think things like that it friends it sort of cements a friendship, music, and yeah, so we more than just a band. We're definitely a bunch of brothers, and from what I've experienced over the years.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an important factor. Would you guys like to add to that? Seeing as we're sharing the love,
Yeah, I think exactly that. 13 years with Mark being from the original side, it's been a journey and a friendship. We literally met because of music. I needed a drummer for a show. He came and practiced a couple of times, and eventually he just said, "Dude, I love what you're doing," and he left his old band and joined us. And for me, and we just grew from there. I mean, me and Mark are always, I think, like you said, it was one of those nights, best man at my wedding. We really are really good friends, and I wouldn't have met him if it wasn't for this music industry.
Exactly.
that's amazing. And Neil, how about you? How'd you come into the mix? Where'd they find you?
It was a long time ago. The band, the Barcode Bandits, had really just started at the time. I was with my girlfriend at the time. We were scoping out a place we were going to be jamming with, jamming at, and there were these guys who seemed pretty good, and I enjoyed their sound, but I found that their bass was rather boring, but yeah. Then the whole case was that um um then I was dancing along to a song of theirs, and then they gave me a CD, and it stayed in the car for months, and it even got played. And
Surprise.
yeah, and and then since then, both my original band, No Regret, and the Barcode Bandits would very often end up on the same bill together. And we became closer and closer. And then at one point, the original bassist couldn't make it to a show where they were supporting Jack Parra, and so then they asked me if I would mind filling in just for a little while, and
6 years later.
and then I jammed, and I didn't want to give up my other band, so then I was more I was now playing for both bands, and then they got another bassist, and then we carried on jamming with them, but then that bassist left after a while, and yeah, then that was about it. So then I joined full time, and I've been full time ever since.
And I got to say, I've watched some of your videos that you guys have put out, and you are quite an electrifying bassist to watch. I think that, like, I have the great. It's a pleasure. I've got the great fortune that every now and again I've got a guy named Skippy Kubego who plays a variety of instruments, and he plays bass with myself and with another band called Mali Zulu, and he's a phenomenal bassist. He's got style to how he plays, and he makes the bass a really diverse instrument. And I've noticed the same thing about your playing, which is not something I can say about a lot of bassists, to be honest.
Problem is the market is fluctuated with so many guitarists that become bassists, and you don't get bassists playing bass properly. Like when Neil walks his fretboard, and the guitarist's first route is to I'll play root notes. So yeah, it's difficult to find a committed actual bassist.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So I think you guys have done a good thing. I mean, it clearly seems to me, at least, like Neil is obviously dedicated, passionate about what you're doing. And like I said, like quite amazing to watch him play bass. It's really definitely nice to see a bassist in action, like genuine bassist playing well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think he also gets frustrated because I'm not musically trained at all. So I've always been street taught on guitar. So when he's like, "What notes are you playing?" I'm like, "I don't know. Figure it out."
True story.
I got to be honest, I can entirely relate. I play by ear, which is, some people might just say I'm lazy, that I've never bothered to learn music. But as somebody who can hear the note I want to find, I've never needed to, because I know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
find, and I just find it. And when I know when it works, I'm like, that's what I was looking for the whole time. So I can totally relate to
exactly.
that. How do you think that has actually affected your musical journey? Because I know, like, my friend Rainer Theron is like this incredible guitarist, and he's like very technically correct. And I watch him play, and I'm always like blown away by his technique as a guitarist. And my lead guitarist, same story. He knows exactly what he's doing. He can tell you he's playing a sus7 or this or that, and I'm like, cool. That's good. That's good. Nice to know you know what it's called. I don't. But how do you find that being sort of more street taught and maybe playing a bit more kind of organically has affected your style of music that you create?
I think with lack of information, you land up making mistakes which become beneficial. Being not knowing exactly where you want to go and kind of just stumbling upon it is a part of creativity on its own. And a lot of our songs, I mean, I wrote some songs before we were in the band, and I went to study sound engineering, and then I started realizing what a click track is and all that jazz. And I had songs that I was just bending the rules. It's like a song shouldn't be changing a tempo that much or so often and so on. But there's songs that we still keep with those formats. So music is like math, but yet there's still works around that you can make things work. So it's been
Yeah.
very interesting. Like it's been a long journey to understand music and also say, okay, I used to do that. That is wrong, but we can still achieve that by doing this, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I think I watched the video you guys put out for Devil on My Shoulder last, and I noticed exactly what you're saying about those timing changes and how, like I also have done that, especially in my older songs when I was playing as a solo artist before I had a whole band backing me up, keeping me technically correct. My
Mm.
timing was very diverse across the song, and
Yeah.
I always felt a bit embarrassed by it because I felt like every time I went to jam with musicians who knew what they were doing, I kind of felt awkward. Like, sorry guys, you never know what's going to come next. Like throwing them a bit in the deep end, which I'd imagine Neil can relate to. But yeah, I kind of I look back on it now, and I've had other musicians tell me how hard it is for them to break out of the mold of technical correctness and actually be free form in their music. So
Mm.
I think I always find it fascinating to chat to other musicians who see the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I can relate absolutely because I'm exactly like Ryan. I taught myself to play drums just by watching other drummers, and yeah, I've got a stupid pinky, so I can't play a guitar note to save my life. Although the guitars are hanging there in the back.
They look
I
good
can
on
play
your wall, Mark.
I can play power chords very well. So for me, it was always also about listening. And, like I think we had a gig one day, also with no regret at, what was it, Firehouse or Fire Tavern. And there was this cover band doing some cool stuff. And all of a sudden, we told them, take your backtracks off. I'll just come and climb on the drums. And just because I can play to timing and I can play to what I hear, and I jumped on a couple of songs, and it was just such an improv session, and it was fun. And I think that when it comes to our timing, I think that's why I can, when Ryan hits a note and I know he's going to stop because it's a feeling that I can feel. I feel him stopping, or I can feel Neil's going to go into a diddle daddle, and I can follow him basically on that. So that's the diversity that the three members bring together. Because I mean, Neil's classically trained; he plays piano, and he's also a multi-instrument. And Ryan, again, vocalist, lyrically, he writes these beautiful words that make you cry just thinking of the words. And then, myself just talking nonsense about drumming. In a drum video, people are going to say, this drummer doesn't know shit about drumming.
You know what? I don't think that that's actually true. I mean, aside from 13 years of experience as part of this band, I definitely think that you can see that you feel it. And I know, like with percussion, being able to feel the beat is such an intensely vital part of what you do. You can be technically trained for days, but if you can't feel that, and if you can't feel the other musicians in your band, your timing is never gonna have the power and the impact that someone who feels it
I
does.
think Ryan can relate, because a lot of the times he'll start with a riff, and then I will just completely slow it down into an offbeat. And there's no reason for me to put an offbeat in there, but I just feel it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then the next 4 bars will be me just blasting out at full speed again. But because the timing of his stays the same, but I can adjust my drumming very quickly according to those. There's no changes in his guitaring. It's just the way I hear it in my head, and I'm like, okay, let me change it.
Yeah,
It definitely
and I
makes
think
it diverse.
the good thing about Mark as well, like if you watch him on a live stage, he's got so much characteristic as a drummer. Like you see so many drummers where, I mean, obviously it's not a stagnant job, but they're just focused on the timing. Where
Yeah.
Mark is just massively about like the passion, the people, and interacting. I mean, yeah, we gave him a mic and we've never managed to take it away.
Your background screamer.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's so confident. It's like it gives you so much confidence, because like especially as like a musician, when you might not be feeling the crowd and you might be like internally battling something, and you just know everyone's probably watching Mark or Neil as the two of them are just strutting their stuff and doing cool stuff and faces, and it really is. It's a big help.
Yeah, especially as a lead sort of the front of a band. I know from my own experience, you do sometimes feel like everyone's staring at you and you're like, oh dear, do I have it in me today to put on a show? But I've definitely seen in the videos I've watched that you are a band full of characters, which I think is amazing. It definitely adds a really powerful stage dynamic. And I'm sure watching you guys live must be quite a cool show.
Thank you. It is cool.
Neil's always cracking jokes. I mean, he's the funny guy in the band, and he's very sharp with his vocabulary. So it's fun to watch Neil just talk shit on stage.
You need that guy. You always need that guy. That's my job too, Neil. I can totally relate. I'm the one who just talks shit, and like I can get that.
That's the spirit. Yeah, that's good. That's important. It's very important.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it helps for people to remember you. You know, obviously you want people to remember the music, but especially in this day and age where we make a lot of our financial income off live shows, having a really
Yeah.
powerful live act is so important. And having an act that people can connect with and members in your band that people can relate to and remember when you get off stage is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much.
I mean,
So
just to rant off on something, I mean, when we started out, I don't think we were really good at all. But I think we had dumb courage and we were just like, well, we're going to wing it and make it as if we're going to make it look like we're the best sounding band as people have ever seen. And I think that was the start and the premise of the Barcode Bandits live performances, was just like, well, make it look cool and it will be cool.
Fake it till you make it moment, but it's good. I think that's really important. Confidence is a huge part of what we do. Huge part of what we do.
I mean, I'm actually, or was always a huge introvert as a child growing up, and wasn't a public speaker. And music really brought me into when I get into stage, I go into another sort of character almost. And I mean, you can ask Ryan. He actually gets me to do a lot of their sort of Oak Fest. I MC at the shows now, and I've never done that. And because of music, I just wasn't afraid to get onto stage anymore. I mean, my first show was butterflies. I'm going to make mistakes, and now I'm just like, screw it. I know what I'm doing. The band knows what they're doing, and So from introvert to, like I say, the back end screamer. Great vocal on me, I would probably be a front man because I've got that confidence now.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys have recently released Recoded. And Recoded, I know Dazzy had mentioned to me that some of those tracks were off your original EP that you put out, but obviously now you're a different band, you've grown, you've had more than a decade's worth of experience in this industry, and your music has changed over that time. Tell me a bit about this album. Tell me what is your favorites, what really stands out to you, and what do you feel the change has been in the tracks that you had released before?
So I'll go first, boys. It's exactly that.
Thank you.
We released 2 EPs, and they both sat with 6 songs each, I think it was averaging. And we grew and we grew, and then Neil came on board, and it was literally where Neil said to us, and he was like, things have changed so much, and things are so different. And during these years, over these 13 years, we had different reactions with crowds and crowds interacting with songs, where Mark had a part in the song where a friend of ours came to me and said, "You guys played a song. I want to play it for my friend." And it's the one where Mark screams something in the background, and that wasn't recorded. So with that evolvement and also Neil's involvement, it's also shown us that, like, hang on, these songs are so different now. So we took both those EPs, removed them off the market, and we packaged them into a full album, completely re-recorded from scratch. And that's exactly what Recoded is now.
Amazing stuff. And Neil, Mark, do either of you guys want to add in? How do you feel about the album?
Not that we're really trying to say that it's just a bunch of rehashed old songs.
Fair enough.
It's been the songs are so different from what you listen to, from what you could listen to on the EPs before they were removed. They're so completely different, and they've got a completely different flavor. That I think it's just, as Ryan said, part of the natural evolution of it.
Yeah,
and that's very important.
And definitely from my side, I mean, when I joined the band, I was, technically never played to a click track. So a lot of those tracks, drumming wise, I was never happy because, we sort of rushed ourselves. We put deadlines to these things. And I mean, some days it would take me 2, 3, 4 hours to lay down a track, where with this album, it became much more easier. I actually knocked out, how many did we knock out on the one day? Was it 3 songs, Ryan? Can't even remember.
3 songs, yeah.
My drumming recording sort of evolved as well, and it made the recording process for me much easier. And especially, I always said, we've got a live sound, and we're not putting that live sound into our recordings, because we try to be technical when it comes to recording. And then I said, well, let's see if we can bring that live vibe to our recording. And I think that's sort of part of the evolution of the new Recoded album. And it's, all the songs are polished. They sound like what we sound on stage. They got the pace, they got the speed, they got the energy. And a lot of the songs evolved. I mean, like, Please is one of those songs that we don't really play live, but it's such an emotional song. It's always been sort of heavy, but it's a slow song. And, Please is one of those that I would always like pushing, but I know, like, the boys don't always push it as well. But, it's one of those, it connects with my soul for some reason. And this whole album's been an emotional roller coaster.
And you guys, what are your favorites, Neil? What jumps out for you off this album?
Jeez. Can I come back to you on that?
Yeah, have a moment to think. Let's throw Ryan in the hot seat.
Because it's very difficult to actually grab just one.
I think for me, it's always the underdogs, especially in recording is a big thing of my life, where I've recorded a lot of other bands as well. And the songs that you're probably the least excited about, like Mark would say, Please, I don't like it as a live song. But when you go into studio and you put those touches in and stuff, it really does shine. But I think the banger of bangers on that album is probably Rest of the World. It just hits so hard. And it was a single on the EP that when we released it originally, and it got some airplay. But this time around, it slaps. So different.
Neil, have you had a chance to think? You want to jump in there?
Yeah. Something like Heaven's second single off the album is probably my favorite, just because there was a blend of the backing vocals, and I know that I've mentioned it to the guys before. There's a blend in the backing vocals that actually makes it sound almost orchestral, and
Right.
and that's just for 2 of the choruses, and it's and it blows me away every time I hear it. So yes, that's my 2 cents.
I love the fact that you each picked something different. So I think that that will get people started listening to that album. You know, if anyone who's watching this podcast goes and picks out those 3 tracks just as a starting point, they'll get a bit of a taste of where each of you guys come from. And hopefully then they'll listen to the rest of the album. Um, you mentioned earlier, Ryan, that there you go out and you play these songs for crowds over the last 13 years, and it's changed and shifted the songs and shifted perhaps your perspective on the songs. And I obviously find this is quite a big thing that happens when you write a song. You write a song and you're sitting at home and it's all great. It's your favorite piece you've ever written because it's brand new. And then you go out, you take it into the world and you play it for a crowd. And the minute you do that, it changes completely. And you have to go
Yeah.
back and you have to rework it based on those kind of feelings that you had when you actually shared it with the world.
So Neil's got this. He came into the band and he said, "You've got to work the song. You can't just release it," which is quite funny. The music industry, you release the album and then you perform it live. But Neil still, he pushes and he says, "We got to get this and see how the crowd responds, what happens over there." And that was a big brain fart of having Recoded redone, was the fact that we gained all this knowledge from the crowds. And it's completely topsy-turvy, but it is, and it's exactly that. I mean, I remember us finishing this album. We took a bit of a break from live shows last year, finishing up the album. And by the time we went into practice, all you can hear in your head is how it sounds in the album. And when we started playing live in the practice room, you were just like, why do we sound so different now? You know? But it came back and it comes back, but it really is like your perspective of it changes when you get so sucked into it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there's a growth that happens on any track, and it's first you write it, then you share it with your bandmates, and they add in their pieces, and it grows, and then you take it out, you play it live, and you play it for a crowd, and that crowd interaction or lack of crowd interaction sometimes changes then again how the song becomes. And then you go and you take it into studio, and that is like you were saying, you get to go in and add in all the bits and pieces like you guys did with Please. You get to go in and add in the nuance that you can't necessarily put in on stage. You've got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of time to add in extra instrumentation, harmonies, and sometimes it blossoms into something so much more than you ever thought it could be. And that is like the evolution of a song, right? And then you go
Yeah.
and listen to it again a year or two down the line, and you realize it is more than you ever expected it to be. And sometimes you realize, actually, I could do a whole bunch more with that.
For sure. Shut Your Mouth on the album, we included a part where this, and that was true crowd reactions we received at a show where people were just chanting the section of the song, and that fell into the album. So the album's also a really big thank you to the listeners and the fans that have come to shows and stuff like that, because it really, we try to capture all those things that have happened in the history and for people to realize.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think you know from the history of the band and the way we've sort of take on a live show, or you know, yes, sometimes you play to the bands and their girlfriends, or you'll play to a big crowd. It's always depending. One night's going to be successful, another night's going to be completely something. But us as a band, we give it 110,000% every time we're on stage. I mean, I walk off and I'm soaked to the bone, whether it's summer or winter. And I always say I need a fan on the stage, and it needs to be right underneath my face just to cool me down. I had an ice bucket girl that would bring me ice water and just sort of splash me with water just to cool me down. It would get super hot on those stages, and sometimes you play dingy little hardly space for you to move. So yeah, I mean, we give it our everything on stage, and that's the fun part of the band. But I think with this album, we've put in our hearts and our souls and our blood and our sweat and our tears. And yes, it's still an ongoing process, and we're trying to market this thing, and hopefully they'll start picking up on the listenership and the playlists. So yeah, we're keeping the faith.
I appreciate that very much. So we have got just over 5 minutes left of this particular Zoom meeting. So on the note of marketing for me recently has become like a massive, massive aspect of my music career. I now spend a bucket ton of my time marketing. And I'm very passionate and excited about it, actually. I love coming up with quirky marketing ideas. Are you guys marketing this yourself? Are you marketing through someone? How are you finding the journey of marketing music? Because that is a massive part of our industry in this day and age, especially as independent underground musicians.
Ryan,
yeah,
take. No, you take it.
All right, I'll throw my 2 cents in. Yeah, the fact that it's about the music is completely not real anymore at all. Like now you've got to have your TikToks and your videos and your content, and you've got to be producing more content than ever before. Which I think we're finding challenging. You know, being in the band for 13 years, you went through the old school. We made a hell of a lot more money when we were selling physical copies than when we do now getting streams. And now it's merch. So our biggest thing now is it's not the music anymore. It's the brand that's tied to the music. But we definitely reap more from our merch than our actual music.
Yeah, and to market every show, you know, you try all the streams. I mean, we try radio, we try all the social platforms, and we do funny videos, and you know, we'll collaborate with other bands that's with us on the shows, and they'll make videos. And I mean, we did a cool thing with Screaming Colors, and they just did this crazy video, and it was fantastic. But you know, at the end of the day, it's either gonna hit home, and I mean, especially for underground bands, I think it's so difficult because our platforms, although we've got this world of the internet, the industry's changed, and people don't come out to live shows that much anymore. It's not 20 years back where people were craving music and wanted to see a live band. So the industry, I mean, we as a band are constantly talking about what should we be doing as a band to put music out. Is it live shows? Is it just streaming? Is it TikTok top platforms only? What do we do to put our passion out there? Because live shows isn't necessarily where it's I don't have a word for it, because you know, the scene has changed, so it's difficult, but we market the hell out of everything, and sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. So yeah, it's a gamble always.
And Neil, how do you feel about it?
As soon as I can figure out how to unmute myself, yeah, that'll be great. Okay, no, it is. I mean, I've been playing in amateur bands since the early 90s, and unfortunately, none of this is new. Everybody has got everybody has a bit of has the unfortunate little bit of a chip on the shoulder when it comes to playing live, because then everybody's always convinced the most negative, where they're going to be going, oh well, geez, we're only going to get 5 people to the show, and then 3 of them pitch up and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a it's a bit of a difficult thing. It's a very bitter pill to swallow, but you just have to carry on doing it, and reminding yourself why you did it in the first place, because of your passion. And if your passion can actually show itself through music, then I think that you've actually done a pretty good show. And these days our passion comes through in our music as well.
Well, I definitely think that you guys have an amazing, amazing presence, and I really love what you guys are doing, and I really think it's powerful. The lyrics are fantastic, the music is fantastic, and I think the only way to fail is to quit. So as long as you guys don't give up, you're bound to eventually make the impact that you desire. So I think just, you know, keep doing what you're doing. I know it's hard to do all the things because I'm there with you guys. You're not alone. But I definitely think that you guys have the right combination of musicians and the right combination of sound and lyric and attitude and passion. And I think just, you know, keep at it. Don't quit.
We have to.
Thank you so much.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
such a
having
pleasure,
us.
guys.
We really appreciate your time, and for you as a muso as well to run these platforms. And giving people a stepping stone. Thanks for keeping the scene alive. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure. I realize that we're all doing it together, So if each and every one of us who is working so hard to get music out there and to keep it alive, if we all keep doing that with each other, then we're bound to make an impact and succeed. So I'm really glad that I could chat to you guys and share what you do with the people who listen to me too.
Cool. No,
Thank
well,
you.
share this once it's out there, and we'll tag and like and love and share it on all our platforms.
Amazing stuff, guys. And I hope to chat to you again in the future. So when you have something new, you let me know and I'll be right here.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Dawn.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Guys,
Don.
have a beautiful day.
You too,
you
Dawn.
too. Cheers.